Decode 5. Being outcast within collectivism. On the previous Decode, I have mentioned about business privilege, as certain businesses get privilege. But today's topic, it's completely out of the box, as I feel like talking about this. So pretty much in recent years, I did came across those who came from very, very strong collectivism background. And once they've tasted this individualism lifestyle in the Western world, and I'm referring to those who actually came to the Western world, those who coming from a very, very strong collectivism culture and study abroad in individualism lifestyle. And the title is saying, being outcast within in collectivism. One of the most interesting thing in the Western world is we were very strong collectivism. And I usually like to, say in a tribal setting. You have the new nuclear family, and you have the traditional family settings as well. And as well, today's nuclear family, what is classified as nuclear family, it's a whole range. And I'd like to spread a bit of out. Maybe is it related to the topic? And it's just like, we come from extended family setting, where it's not only just your parents, but also we have, extended relatives. Our grandparents, uncles, auntie, nieces, and, the whole lot, the whole family. And other uncles, and you become a tribe, a little herd of tribe. And as years goes by, this tribe family just kind of shrinks down to extended family. And as mentioned to be before it's like a huge tribal extended family. Now it shrinks down to extended family, and it slowly transitioned to nuclear family. And nuclear family is just promoting, individualism, romanticism, very, very strong indicator within the setting. As before, let's just say you've been kicked out of the family, whether you're youngster or oldster or elderly, you wouldn't survive during that period of time. Within the extended family setting. But in today's world, regardless where do you live, I'm just saying, I can't say all the countries, but lots of countries, let's put it that way, I can't say all of them. Lots of countries you can survive on sole income. And there's the welfare state regards to retirement. So you get, retirement payment. So therefore, you don't longer need this sort of collectivism, or some culture still does, but I'm just saying, broadly speaking, in the Western world, especially towards Western Europe, East Europe is very, very strong collectivism, even in present time. But I can speak for America. I can't speak for every single individual, but I can speak for the norm, what is the popular in today's world. And those who comes from very, very strong extended family background or collectivism background, and study abroad to come to Australia or coming to a Western world, and they have this sense of identity, sense of individual And it's pretty much you do whatever you want. Nobody's judging you. That's the Western world. Unlike the countries that they're from, if you divorce, if you have abortion, if you don't believe in certain belief, if you do certain things, there's a taboo, or it's still you get punishment, you get disowned. Where the Western world, it's dismantled a lot. Some of the areas are still there, but it has been dismantled a lot more than the collectivism society. And when I see those who just when you're in the tribe and you outcast yourself, you're no longer, the surviving rate is no longer that really high, whether you're young or old or whatever, because towards the end maybe the country doesn't support enough for the retirement funds, retirement pension, age pensions. But the moment they come to the Western world, that's when the Western world you promise to deliver this sort of welfare states and things like that. And it kind of opens a lot. I know I've been rabble along about this topic, but what I'm trying to say, give you a slight understanding. But the recent years, I've spoken to those who he's been studying in Australia for quite some times now, and they really enjoy, and they don't want to go back to their hometown just to experience this collectivism lifestyle again. They want to escape. They'll be a rebel, and they'll try to deny it. And those who did that will find it really, really struggle in their emotional well-being, as first off, you're being disowned by family behind, or you have to lie to your parents about what's the reason behind doing all this, whether they want to get a permanent residency, whether they just want to forget everything about what's had happened in their country, regardless, maybe war torn or things like that, or they just don't believe in supporting their family back in the country. And being a rebel, being outcasted, many of those who try to deny the reality and thinking this individualism lifestyle is really great. It's like a new trend, new cool thing. That's where most of advanced countries are heading towards to. Collectivism is always it's old thinking mentality. But at the same time, there's no sense of belonging for quite a long time. Unfortunately for me, I'm lucky to be born through this individualism. I'm surrounded by people with individualism, but especially my main focus on the video is talking about those who just has never been brought up, who has seen films and media about it, but who hasn't really experienced it until they come to Australia and experience that sort of lifestyle. And to go through that, it's, if out of the sudden thinking collectivism is bad, they don't want to return back to their country, don't want to support their family or this and that, try to deny the reality of what the purpose, what their parents brought them into this country. And there's good and downside when it comes to individualism or collectivism, and that's next time I will talk about this video. I won't talk about it today, but it's very interesting to see how many those who wants to be a rebel, which means outcasting themselves, will find a huge, there's a lot of hurdles that they have to go through. There's a lot of planning, there's a lot of area, but the satisfaction of happiness, it does not quite match. And I see those who keep a distance away. I only know 3 friends. who talks about this. All right. One of them, he talks about it. He's trying his best, acknowledge and everything, and at the same time was having a conversation, a communication dialogue with me about this. And I always said, that's that individual person. I said to him, it's best not to think that way. It's best to live through that collectivism. Do not ever turn your back to your family, because they're the ones who made you who you are today. But once you do get your permanent residency, and once your child has been brought up in the Western world, that child is being brought up whether it's collectivism, because what's their surrounding will influence them, and that's individualism. And those who try to be rebel, jumping hoops, will have there's consequences they go through, and mental health, because it's a very new thing to them. They think it's great. They've seen and watched the Hollywood movies and things like that. Individualism is great, but the amount of difficulty in life, they start to realize their emptiness, loneliness will creep onto them, and they will deny it. It will take a long time for them to get to that stage back again. It's hard for them to admit it, because that's the decision that they make. They're being outcasted from their family. They brought shame to their family. And I think this topic is very big. And this is what the Western world influence. You have to stimulate, integrate, to be part of this culture. And many of them who tried to outcast has to face a lot of family politics issues and shame. And it brought a lot of emotional, physical, psychological problems down through the path, and realize the emptiness and loneliness that they get to. That's the topic of the day. I think that's what I have in my mind.